Dallas Airport, June 1, 1999. On the apron, American Airlines McDonnell Douglas MD-82 airliner announces a reserve for scheduled domestic flight AA-1420 on the Dallas-Little Rock route. 45 people are boarding the aircraft, 139 passengers and 6 crew members, to fly the aircraft by a trained and experienced crew. The captain is 48-year-old Richard Bushman. The co-pilot is 35-year-old Michael Origel. And in the cabin of the aircraft, there are 4 flight attendants. According to the schedule, the plane should take off from Dallas at 2028, but due to the deteriorating weather on the flight route, the dispatcher delays the departure. According to the airline's policy, the maximum pilot work time is 14 hours. This is the time during which the pilot can be in working condition, since according to the study, after 13 hours of wakefulness, pilots make significantly more mistakes. And our crew has been working for more than 11 hours. The captain told the airline dispatcher that after 23:16 they would not be able to fly. At 10:40 p.m., more than 2 hours late, an MD-82 took off from Dallas and headed for Little Rock.
American 1420, the weather in Little Rock may turn bad before you arrive. Try to speed up if possible.
I understand you, we will try, American 1420.
After passing the main part of the flight, approaching the destination, the crew noticed the deterioration of the weather.
We must get there as quickly as possible.
I don't like that lightning.
Of course.
The plane at that moment was already near Little Rock and was flying at an altitude of 9,842 feet. At 23:34 the crew contacts the dispatcher.
What's up with the weather in Little Rock, American 1420?
American 1420 thunderstorm heading northwest towards the airport. Wind gusty 280 degrees from 27 to 42 knots.
The captain and I are observing lightning.
American 1420, approach runway 22L.
Okay, we'll try to see the airport from here. We can hardly make it, but we will try to land on runway 22.
The air traffic controller offers our crew a visual approach to the Little Rock Airport, but the co-pilot replies that it is difficult for them to figure it out at this stage, but they will try to land as quickly as possible. But at this time, the dispatcher reports that the weather is getting worse.
American 1420, the wind is already 340 degrees at 9 knots. In the north the wind is 330 degrees at 23 knots, and in the northwest the wind is 10 degrees at 13 knots.
The crew decides to approach runway 4R from the other side in such a way that, when landing, they will fall not under a headwind, but under a tailwind. What the dispatcher also offers.
American 1420, it would be better if you go to runway number 4R.
At 23 hours 43 minutes and 11 seconds the controller contacted Flight 1420 again, approved the visual approach to our WY4R and reported.
American 1420, if you lose your bearings or need help, let me know.
You are going.
Oh, I lost the storm.
I see that she is already there.
I still can't see it, just changing the vector. I don't know.
We're getting pretty close to this hurricane. We'll hold him tight if we have to.
US 1420, 2 miles off, heavy rain at Little Rock Airport, visibility down to 1 mile, and RWY4 our visibility down to 2,952 feet.
The dispatcher informs our crew that the weather has worsened even more. In this situation, the only right decision is to abort the landing approach and go to the alternate airfield. But Captain Bushman, being in an excited state, strives to land at all costs, at any cost. Altitude 3,280 feet, the weather is getting worse, the plane is tossing from side to side, people in the passenger cabin with fear in their eyes froze in anticipation of landing as soon as possible. The crew releases the landing gear. The dispatcher reports that the weather conditions are getting worse, the liner abruptly blows to the right. The GPWS alarm sounds sync rate. The crew, not realizing the critical situation, does not decide to abort the landing. The situation becomes catastrophic. At 23:50, Flight AA-1420 makes a hard landing on runway 4R with a significant overshoot.
We are falling. He does not slow down.
Revere.
After 7 seconds, reverse is activated. The plane glides along the runway, wagging its tail to the right, then to the left. But braking is not enough. Even on the pre-landing straight, the crew forgets to complete the control check card, and does not reinforce the spoilers, and also does not turn on the automatic braking system. Due to critical errors made by the crew, the aircraft overruns the runway, blows off several tubes from the left edge of the localizer, slides another 262 feet and crashes into the bridge. On impact with the bridge, the liner breaks into two parts. Plane crash in Little Rock kills 11 people. Captain Richard Bushman and 10 passengers. 110 people, 4 crew members, co-pilot and 3 flight attendants, and 106 passengers were injured of varying severity. The investigation into the causes of the crash of Flight AA-1420 was conducted by the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB. The final report of the investigation was published on October 23, 2001. According to the report, numerous pilot errors were the cause of the crash. In particular, they made landing approaches in the most difficult weather conditions, when there were no grounds for this. The pilots also exceeded the crosswind limit for this type of aircraft at the time of landing. The wind speed was 29 knots. With this wind and after receiving 2 wind shear warnings, the pilots had to stop their descent and go to an alternate airfield. In addition, the pilots started preparations for landing too late, and in their haste missed several important steps. In particular, the system of automatic activation of spoilers, which reduced the lift on the wing and increased the effectiveness of the wheel brakes, was not activated. And the pilots also forgot to turn on the automatic braking system. When all these miscalculations were discovered after touching the runway, none of the pilots made any attempts to turn them on manually. The plane landed almost without braking. After the liner began to slide off the runway, both pilots panicked and began to take actions that greatly aggravated the situation. In particular, the captain turned on the engine thrust reverser at a level significantly higher than recommended, which led to a complete loss of control. Crew fatigue is also an additional factor. The captain and co-pilot worked more than 16 hours on the day of the accident, which, combined with bad weather and stress, also affected the crew's performance. The jury acquitted Captain Bushman entirely, but the NTSB did not reverse its decision on probable cause. In addition, American Airlines acknowledged responsibility for the accident and paid $14 million in damages to passengers and their families. The crew had a chance to abort the approach. There was more than one. Landing in such weather conditions is a path to disaster. The dispatcher repeatedly warned about the deterioration of visibility, and even this rush, they forgot to complete the checklist. They did not reinforce spoilers and forgot about auto brakes. The plane was practically without brakes on the wet runway. The captain had one clear goal: to land as quickly as possible, to land at any cost. Yes, the captain is to blame. He made the decision to land in catastrophic weather conditions, but this does not remove the blame from the airline. Everyone knows that go around or an alternate airfield does not bode well and will not be patted on the head. Yes, and the pilots have to work in emergency mode. 16 hours a person is in working condition. What right decisions can we talk about? It is unfortunate that such catastrophes happen because of such negligence, but it is more a pity that no one draws conclusions.